These particular people believe that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the true Jews of the Bible. Now, not all of them believe this, but this particular sector does, okay? And because they believe that salvation is only for the nation of Israel. So if you're not black, Hispanic, or Native American, you out. There's no salvation for you in their theology.
I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakak, Radash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad, teaching His word in truth and sincerity. And we're back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai. And I'm going to address this pastor and what he said, right? Because he kind of twisted it a little bit when he explained it. So he said that there's a belief out there, which he's talking about the Hebrew Israelites, that so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans are the Jews, and because of that, no other nation gets salvation. And that's not how we look at it. It's not because we are so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans that we think that nobody else can get saved, but it's the doctrine. It's what the scriptures say. See, they never want to bring the scriptures that highlight these things or say these things. They always want to make it seem like we're just coming up with our own doctrine. We just came up with this out of thin air, right? So it's not because we're so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans that we feel like nobody else gets saved. It's because that's what the Bible says, and we can identify us as being the Israelites, and we understand that Israelites are only people who get salvation. So whoever the Israelites would be, it just so happens to be the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, that they're the only ones that get salvation because that's what the scriptures say, right? So we're gonna get to a few scriptures and show you, right? Because what happened to the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American man, that's prophecy. So we also are looking towards prophecy to understand who the chosen people are. Now, when we're in, going through the wilderness, Moses gave us the law, statutes, commandments, and the commandments had curses, or, it was curses based off of if we didn't keep the commandments, right? So there were consequences, pretty much. You had the commandments, and then you had the consequences of not keeping the commandment. I want to say it like that to make sure, it doesn't get misconstrued. I'm not saying that the curses are the law, statute, commandments. I'm saying the curses are the effects of not keeping the law, statute, commandments. So if we didn't keep it, we would go into captivity in these different curses that will be able to identify who the children of Israel is. That eventually happened, and we're now able to identify ourselves based off the curses. So let's go into that first. Let's go into that first. It's Deuteronomy 28. We're gonna start at 40. Hold on. 43. Let's go start at 43. Let's go get right to it. Deuteronomy 28 and 43. The stranger that is within, Slakia, thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So what will happen is the stranger would get higher than us. We will be I think it's going to say that, but we will be on a lower level, or we will be subjected to our enemies, or we will be subjected to the stranger. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So now we know that the curses would cause us to be the tail and not the head, right? So of course we looking at our lives. We're looking at so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans being born in the ghetto. You got different races of people who can come over here to America and get loans and open up businesses in our communities, but we can't get these things. So we're figuring out, damn, why is the strangers doing better to us when America is where we do all that, So for anything, we were supposed to have first dibs on opportunities when it comes to the neighborhoods, any jobs, any loans, all those things are supposed to, we're supposed to get the first dibs on that, and then the foreigners come next. But we seen the foreigners coming to our side of, our side and getting all these things that would help us out. But we don't understand, what is that? It's a curse. So we got to identify more curses to identify who we are. It says, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, take thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep the commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So he says these curses should be on us for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So we know it's not going to be forever, because we understand, hey, the curse is eventually going to be taken off of us and put on our enemies. And then the scriptures, I think it's Deuteronomy 20, I think it's like 22, I believe, it says it's no more curse. It should be no more curse. So the curse is going to be fully lifted when the Lord comes back, delivers his elect. And then that's when the curses are going to be broke off of Jake, and it's going to fully be set on the other nations, or specifically we'll say Esau, Edom, but the other nations are going to have to, they're going to have to reap what they sow, right? So Esau, Edom specifically, he put us in captivity, but all these nations had a hand in putting us in captivity, right? Psalms 83, right? The nations were confederate against us, and they wanted the name of Israel to be no more in remembrance. So that's what happened, right? And now we're coming out of that spell via the Holy Spirit that's giving us all things in remembrance. So we understanding who we are. Now we can say, oh, we're the Israelites, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans are the Israelites. Not because we just woke up and thought that, but because the prophecies are showing us that we are the Israelites. The scriptures are pointing to a people that went to Egypt and were subjected for 430 years, I believe, and then it says that we will be in Egypt again. Which let me just go to. Let me read it, because it's going to say that. So it says, "The Lord shall bring a nation against thee far." So let me see. Let me read from 46. "And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee." Right? So, hey, of course, the so-called Black and Hispanic and Native American, we are known for being in slavery and having yokes of iron upon our necks, right? Of yokes of iron upon our necks. So now we have to see the parallel. Dang, we've been in America for what, 400 years? We've been pretty much oppressed for 400 years. They say, well, slavery lasted about 200 years, but at the end of the day, we're still in servitude right now. We're still in slavery right now, right? We're not free, right? They haven't let us go. They haven't restored what they took from us. So therefore, we're still in the land of our captivity, and that's another thing. We're gonna wake up in the land of our captivity. Let's get that real quick. We'll come right back here because we got some more meat to get off of there. But let's go into Baruch real quick, because everything fits prophecy. This is why we believe we're the Israelites, not because we just Black and Hispanic, but what the Black and Hispanic and Native American man went through is why we believe we're the Israelites, because it mirrors prophecy. This is Baruch 2, and I'm gonna start at 29. Let's start at 30. "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves." So when we go into captivity, we're going to remember who we are. And this is what happened in America with the influx, or the knowledge of the Hebrew Israelites come out of nowhere. Boom. It didn't come out of nowhere. It was gradually happening since the 60s, like the late 60s. But it just kept on exploding because the Spirit of the Lord was gradually moving throughout the earth, and the Lord was allowing the Israelites to remember who they were, right? It says, "For I knew they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves, and shall know that I am the Lord their God, for I will give them a heart and ears to hear." So now you got the Hebrew Israelites on the highways and byways telling you, declaring the name of the Lord, the understanding of the statutes, the commandments, the judgments, the promises, the prophecies of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. All these things are happening because of the Israelites. So now you have an interpretation or an understanding of the Bible that's it's so, what do I want to say? It's so airtight that you can't really go against it. You can go against it if you want to, but you're just going to lose, because you can't go against the doctrine of Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, right? And so that right there in itself, how the people that were lowly, the people that you underfunded their education, you oppressed, you did all types of things to stop these men from raising up, they rose up anyways. And they're rising up at this current moment to understand who they are as Israelites. And well, this is first prophecy. Because that's what it says. If we go to the land of our captivity and we pray, we humble ourselves and pray, and the Lord will heal our land. And we'll be, taken out of the captivity. Well, that's what's happening in these last days, right? The land is going to be first the land is going to be destroyed, but it's also, when you talk about the land of Israel, but then after it's destroyed, it's going to be built up beautiful again, right? We know it's going to be some cleanup for the heathens to do over there in that land, right? So let's read it. For I knew they would not hear me, but because it's a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivity they shall remember themselves, and shall know that I am the Lord their God, for I will give them a heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers which sinned before the Lord. And I will bring them again into the land of their which I promised with an oath unto their fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why? Because that promise that he made was for an everlasting covenant. So the covenant don't stop just because we did evil. It just now the Lord just made a new covenant, which is for Israel too. And that's the whole point. If you believe that everybody can be saved, or that everybody everybody can be adopted, or whatever he's going to say, then why is the second covenant not mentioning the heathens? We'll get that too, but let's just stay on path. I will bring them again into the land of which I promised with an oath unto their fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. So after this time, the Lord redeems us. He's never going to allow us to be kicked out of the land. We got kicked out of the land. The last time we got kicked out of the land was in 70 AD via Titus and Vespasian, right? Once we got kicked out of the land, we haven't been back ever since. We've been across the whole world, but we haven't been back as a whole back to the land of Israel. Why? Because that promise is going to be done once the Lord comes back and redeems his people. That's when we're going to go back to the land. So the people in the land right now, they wouldn't be the true Israelites, because the Israelites would have to be taken home by the Lord, right? Via the chariots coming and beaming the elect up, and then us being in the chambers to the end of the nation be overpassed, and then coming down as a bride adorned for her husband, New Jerusalem. Then that's when all the fun is gonna happen. Slakia, where was I at? It's right here. So it says, I'll make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. Let's go back to Deuteronomy, because we're using Deuteronomy still, and we're gonna be too long. Making a quick point pretty much. This is Deuteronomy 28, and we was kind of down here. So let's read 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And we understand these nations. When you go into the Greeks, the Romans, even America, all are symbolized by an eagle, or a legion that has an eagle. We have the bird of America. It's an eagle, right? So that's an indicator of who these people are, right? It says, let's see, where was it? A nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the persons of the old, nor show the favor to the young, and shall eat the fruit of their cattle and the fruit of their land. And what happened when we did all the labor for these so-called Edomites, these so-called white men? We didn't get paid for none of that stuff. The cotton, the tobacco, the sugar cane, all those things that made America rich. We didn't benefit from that. We made them billionaires and trillionaires for our labor that we did for free. So we didn't benefit from working for the white man, right? But this is prophecy. And thou shalt eat the fruit of their own body and flesh of the sons and thy daughters. Wait, was that? No, I'll skip down. Yeah, let me start at 51 again. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn or wine or oil or the increase of thy kin or flocks of the sheep until they have destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high fence walls come down wherein the trusses throughout all the land, and he shall besiege thee in all the gates throughout all the land which the Lord thy God had given thee. So this can encompass all the captivities where we were besieged. Babylon. It was a besiegement in Babylon, right? Right. And I believe it's the Greeks. The Romans. So that happened a lot of times throughout history, but it just shows you that was the curse that would happen to the Israelites. It says right now we don't have a home anymore, so they can't really besiege us in that sense, but they can come against the people of Israel. Well, they can't we don't have a sovereign land. It says, and they shall eat the fruit of thy own body and flesh of the sons and thy daughters which thou Lord God have given thee in the siege and in the straitness wherein thine enemies shall distress thee. So that a man is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. We see that all the time. Our own people have an evil eye towards each other. You look at them wrong, you might get shot, you might get killed. It's no brotherly love within the community anymore because it was a curse that would happen, right? So that's why Ephraim is envy and Judah, or Judah envy and Ephraim, however they kind of quote it, and it's pretty much a division between the tribes. It could be color, it could be just usually it's a lot to do with color too. So it's the color thing. I'm light skinned, dark skinned, right? Putting the Israelites against each other based off of Eurocentric themes or Eurocentric mindsets. We can be different colors, but we're the same people, so we should treat each other like brothers because we are the same people, not because our skin color is the same or not. That came from the so-called white man. So it says, so the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother and toward his wife of his bosom and toward his remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Who is the race that's known for leaving the children? Who are the race that's known for, it's a I want to say a proverb, but this is a saying. It could be like a wise saying, not a wise saying, but just a saying that's what is it? A byword and a proverb, right? So a negative proverb against the children of Israel or the so-called black man is that he doesn't take care of his children, right? So that was a curse because there's going to be so much hell that the black man is going to have to endure. He's going to have to endure the hell from the nations subjugating him and oppressing him. Then he has to deal with his woman, right? His woman not getting along with his woman, and then that causes an environment where the man is not able to, he's not stable, and so he leaves. He has to go somewhere else because the responsibility is too much because the whole world is against the so-called black man, so it puts him in a situation where it's hard to take care of his family. So and the women do have a lot to do with a man leaving the house also. But at the end of the day, this was a curse, and this is known within the so-called black community. So to say we're not the Israelites, but these curses, they're so, that they're so they speaks to the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native American so bad that it's kind of hard for you to overlook this. Now we all suffer different curses. Also, we don't know about the Native American man. We know it's a lot of Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, and they look different. It's black people, the people who you think black people, they're Native Americans. All right, so at the end of the day, we know these curses fit Israel as a whole. It says, so the man is tender among you and very delicate. His eye shall be evil towards his brother and toward his wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. And then it goes into so that he will not give any to them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat. Right, let's talk about the siege also. I kind of want to go down to let's keep on going down. It says 59. It says, then the Lord will make the plagues wonderful, and plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. And a long continuance is called a chronic illness. A sickness that is long and long continuous is called a chronic illness. It's something that lasts for a long period of time. So the Lord is pretty much saying you're going to get these chronic illnesses as a curse when you disobey me. Also, every sickness, every plague was which is not written in the book of this law, then will the Lord bring upon thee into the to be destroyed. So now we're suffering shit that not even in the that wasn't even contained in the book. Now, it's new shit the Lord didn't conjured up, you know what I'm saying, for us. And we know that the Lord uses Esau, Edom, the white man, to punish Israel. So those diseases those man-made diseases that comes out by Esau, Edom, we know the Lord pretty much allowed that to happen, so Esau can punish Israel. and let me see. I want to kind of get to the point. The 64. This is Deuteronomy 28:64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among the people from one end of the earth even to the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So we understand we were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, you know. We were scattered throughout these different captivities. That's another sign that's closely related to the so-called black people, or socially closely associated with the black people, being a part of like that diaspora. Right, Israelites everywhere, which is everywhere, but we are in all nations, because that was the curse, to be scattered into all these different nations. Right, and let me see. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even to the other, and there shall thy serve other gods which neither thou nor thy father have known, it even in wood and stone. And the two biggest religions that black people fall for is either being a Muslim or being a Christian. Those are the two biggest religions in wood and stone. You got the cobblestone, you have the cross that they lay Caesar Borgia on, perpetrating as Yahweh Shai to the people, right? But we understand, you know, that's a curse, right? For us to worship these false deities, you know, our power is Yahweh Shai, right? That's our power. But we know that now because the Lord put the spirit back in us to understand these things. It says, and let's read it again. Let's read down further. Actually, we're going to 65. And among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall thy soul of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart and failing eyes and a sorrow of mind. And that's what we experience in Babylon the Great. You know, when you understand what it's all about, man, all you get is a trembling heart, a failing eyes, and a sorrow of mind, man, when you really think about this captivity and how low we've been reduced. You know, like, damn, man, we used to be, you know, God's chosen people. And that's not that we're not. It's just that we had dominion, we had power, and now we don't have shit. You know what I'm saying? We don't have even control of our own women. So, you know, we fallen from a low state, man. So, you know, especially when you get the knowledge. What does it say? It says when you get wisdom, it makes you sorrowful, or it makes you sorry. Let me actually get that real quick, because I know it's in Ecclesiastes. What does it say? Wisdom makes. Is it in the first chapter? Yep, this is Ecclesiastes 1 and 18. Let me read 17. And I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly, and perceived that this is all also is vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases in knowledge increases in sorrows. So how much more sorrows do you have once you understand everything, once you understand that we're here because we disobeyed the Most High, that, you know, things are not going to get better on this side, and we have to deal with the torment and the punishment of, you know, what we've done, you know, what our fathers done and what we've done, and that, you know, we have to endure it, you know, because we have to. Only way we can enter into the kingdom of heaven is through tribulation. So knowing that, it's a sorrow of mind, grief, you know, knowing that you can't get what you want, you know, you have to forsake everything. You can't, you know, people, you know, you think people's doing good, better than you, you know what I'm saying? You know, people looking down on you, and you got to just deal with it, you know, you got to just deal with it the whole time. And then when all hell breaks loose, that's when you can actually feel happy, because you're like, well, shit, you know, I wouldn't, you know, I wasn't prospering in this land, so I'm glad the shit is fucked up. The other people ain't gonna be glad because they gonna want to still enjoy the world, but we gonna be glad because now, hey, everybody got to fucking suffer. You know what I'm saying? Only about us is, hey, the wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of our times. So with that wisdom and knowledge, we can be stable. You know, if we apply the things that's written in the scriptures. You know, all the things that we learn, we apply it in our day, and we believe it, and the faith is increased. then that's when we're going to be happy, because we're going to see the end of the world. We're going to see the world literally flatlining, and the people are still trying to hold on to it. Or we like, man, fuck it. It is what it is. Do what you're going to do, because we understand that the kingdom of heaven has to be established after this kingdom is destroyed, not before. So we're looking for the destruction of this kingdom, so that the kingdom of heaven can be established. All right, so we're almost done. We're gonna just read a couple more verses. So it says, among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall thou have the sole of thy feet have rest. This is Deuteronomy 28:65. But the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart, a failing of eyes, and a sorrow of mind. Thy life shall hang in a doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life. And that's what it is for the black man. You go out, you go driving, you gotta have wisdom, because you can get pulled over and be dead. And they'll make it seem like you did something. Every day. We gotta fight against something. Our health. They're pumping chemicals and everything, the water, the air. If you want this thing to go on, you're completely blinded. But the election have obtained it, but the rest were blinded. You know what I'm saying? So the election gonna understand why this shit gotta end. Like, people are really trying to build their lives, and still trying to build lives like this shit is gonna be cool because you get a mansion, you get a fucking car, and you get some houses, you got some property. That shit is not gonna mean shit, man. This place has to be judged for the wickedness, right? It says, in the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even, and even in the even thou shalt say, would God it were morning, for the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. And now this is one of the major prophecies, right? The Lord is going to bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So we know that the Israelites left Egypt. So he said he's going to bring us again in ships. By the way thereof I speak unto you, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you should be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So this is what we've seen in the last captivity, where, we're being shipped to different places. We were being shipped to America. We were being shipped to the islands. We were being shipped all across the world, man. So we were shipped mainly the northern tribe, or the southern tribe got shipped to mainly Babylon the Great, and also the northern tribe came over here in around the time of Salmanassar, when they fled from Salmanassar, and they took that boat and they went to Arsareth, which is America. So the majority of the Israelites, they ended up in what? America, Babylon the Great, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, right? And we were what? When we got off the ships, we were bondmen and bondwomen, and no man would buy us, meaning no man redeemed us yet. The only person that is said to redeem us, or that is on the way to redeem us, is Yahweh Shai. So we are waiting for Yahweh Shai to come back to make his second coming, to pierce the clouds, so that we can be redeemed from this captivity, and we can go into the land of Israel, our homeland. And not only that, we can have immortality. We can rule all the nations. We can have everything we ever wanted. And the people who wanted everything now, they're going to see everything be destroyed. They're going to see everything they worked for crumble. And the people who waited to get their blessing, waited to just be righteous, and the spirit of delayed gratification, they're going to see the kingdom of heaven as be established, and they're going to be able to partake in everything that we ever wanted. You know what I'm saying? Which is going to be beautiful. But this is why we say we're the Israelites, not because we're the so-called Black Hispanic Americans, because the prophets speak on our behalf that we are the children of Israel. And also the Spirit bear witness with our spirit that we're the children of God. All right, so this is why we believe we're the Israelites. All right, and I'm going to just end it at that. I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Shai. Until next time, Lord willingly. Shalom.